only in the Force.
So we had a little faux pas on my end as I drink from my invisible cup. Welcome back, everyone. I am Calibus Rand, and today we want to talk about, of course, this last episode of the Mando Andorian. Because I swear to God, I was a little upset. I mean, I wasn't upset when it happened to Boba Fett, but I'm upset now that it happened to the Mandalorian. So I think we really need to unpack this. And again, that and the Bad Batch. Today joining us is Katala of the Proud Warriors of Kronos and the First Lady of Fandom from the Matriarchs of Fandom and her very own show, The Fandom According to Miss Liz. So, gentlemen, and I'm going to start with Sai on this. Your overall impression before we even start diving into the episode. Your overall impression of the episode, sir.
I really did not like this. I really was upset. In the words of my mother, I thought we were watching Mandalorian. And she said that 30 minutes ago, as we were finishing up watching it. The only thing I can think of is what they were doing was trying to set the stage for an offshoot series, and which is why they went in this direction to create characters that are going to be in another series, which to me they could do, but without taking up 75% of the show that's supposed to be The Mandalorian. There's a couple little tidbits I liked, but overall, I was very upset with how much time they wasted on this.
I'm gonna have to agree with you because I too was not a fan of this. Again, Wyatt was the only one who was really the Marshal. He was the only one upset when it happened to Boba Fett. I think the rest of us was like, "Oh, Mando, yeah." But when it happens to you, when it happens to you and your favorite show, it ain't so nice, is it? It was just a jumbled up. I mean, I get it. You're on a television show. You want to tell a story, but let's face it, nobody was interested. And if you would have put that part where he did what he did with Bo-Katan, and then you saw all that, they would have cut the episode off. They would have turned the episode off. All right. I'm gonna save the Marshal for last because I'm pretty sure he's just gonna he's waiting to bust my bubble. So Miss Liz, you give me your take on this. On the last episode of The Mandalorian.
All right, I liked the Mando parts. I'm wondering how she's gonna take being part of the group, because she doesn't like the way they live. But I think she's gonna swallow her pride for a little while, and then she'll take what she can take, and then she's gonna be and because I kind of got that from what Katie said in her interview, that she was going to, let it ride for a little while before her better part of her is going to get the way, and she's going to have to walk, if you know what I mean. When I started watching that part with the doctor and that lady and what was going on, I was going, what the hell? What's going on? And then I got really upset by the end because she double crossed him and did horrible things to that poor man. And there's no way I'd eat those yellow biscuits. Not in a million years could you pay me to eat those. Oh my God, they looked horrible. And that's pretty much my take of it. Like I said, I love the Mando part. I love that they're back in the fold. Like I said, I kind of agree with Katie Sackhoff that her character is gonna only be able to take this, you know, tribe only just so far before it really gets under her skin, and she's gonna have to vacate the premises before she does something she's not supposed to.
So I put up this meme.
Yeah, 58-minute episode, and we only got a little bit of Mando.
So according to this thing, it's 58-minute episode. 38 minutes of it was Dr. Pershing with
Which
the subplot. Basically,
I felt so sorry for that guy. I really did.
well,
but it didn't have any place for Mando.
Well, it just goes to show you how far the Empire is willing to go. Even though they're fractured, they still have this loyalty towards the Empire. They don't want this cloning technology to get out, and they don't want anybody else replicating this procedure, I guess. I really, again, for me, setting anything up for the sequel trilogy, I just don't really have the taste for. I don't have the interest. I could care less about Rey, Poe. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved Daisy Ridley's acting. I loved Finn's acting. I have to really kind of stop right there because there was nothing. Oh, well, Chewbacca. Okay, so you know what I mean. I didn't care for Han Solo dying. I didn't care for. I really didn't care for the story after that. After that, I was like pro Empire, wipe them all out. Didn't care. They just didn't know what they were doing, and now they're like you said, they're like Simon said, they're trying to give us something maybe a little bit down the road, but nobody's really truly interested. All right, Katala, what's your take on it?
Everything but the stuff in the middle was good. That kind of spoils the whole show, dropping that in where it doesn't belong. But I guess it just shows how many tentacles the Empire has. It's willing to reach out and grab people and still keep them under their sway. But I did like Bo's ship, and I loved the chase and fight scene they had.
Yeah, the fight scene was really cool.
Yes. And the biscuits remind me of what we used to get when we had our sea rats in the field.
All right. Let me have it. Come on. Let me have it.
I'm going to sympathize with you because it sucked. It really sucks when they do that in the middle of the show that you truly enjoy. That being said, I didn't hate it all. I really didn't, because it showed a side that we knew was there, but we weren't really enveloped in. Because did she do that because she was former Empire, or did she do that because she did not want to see somebody that was former Empire try to go back to the Empire? We don't know. Was she actually former Empire? Was she part of the rebellion the whole time? I don't know. And honestly, it really doesn't matter, because it's a story that should have never been told right in the middle of well, your Mando, our Mando, but we did get to see a few really interesting things happen with the armoress asking Bo if she had taken her helmet off since she'd been in the living waters. Then you are Mandalorian. You have been restored. Okay, that's different. But watching Pav Vizsla was probably my favorite part of the entire episode. That man was pissed, and you could see it without seeing any facial, just the way he had, just the way he was. You could tell he was not a happy person, and I loved it.
Yeah, this guy comes in with your ancestral sword. He beats you in combat. The first time you meet him, you and him go at it with vibro knives. The armorer breaks it up. The next time you meet him, he has your family sword. And he beats you again. Then he gets to be exiled, but then he comes back, supposedly bathing in these waters. And I love what he said. Yeah, we'll see. I was like, okay, well, he's definitely not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You've peed in this dude's cornflakes one too many times, man. But the surprising thing for me was we all know Bo-Katan's feelings on the Children of the Watch. They're zealots, is what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then she said, your people ruined Mandalore. But yet, there she was getting greeted, and everybody is greeting her and, slapping her on the back and da-da-da-da. My thing is, she knows they take this oath stuff seriously. So now all she's got to do is tame that mythosaur. That's all she's got to do.
Yep.
And that sword won't matter.
Yep.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think that's why she kept quiet. I think she came in right in there with all of them, and she's thinking, oh, they're accepting me as part of them. Now I have an opportunity to actually take over and bring my people together. That's in her mind. She's going to use this opportunity to bring all of her people back together and go reclaim their homeland. I think that's what she's thinking, and especially with the mythosaur, she's just got to figure out how to do that part.
Now we talked about it. I believe we talked about it on the last show. Seeing the mythosaur. We have a couple of people. Oh, we got Hatter coming in. Kind of agree with the car. I do think she's Empire though. I believe Thawne and Gideon's return. Yeah, Hatter. I definitely. That's one of the things that I'm definitely.
I definitely agree.
I think that I think Gideon's already escaped. I think he's gone. I just don't see him holding back, doing anything that's not basically on him. You know what I mean? This is his world. This is the way he sees it. The only thing that I didn't like was he was afraid of Luke Skywalker. So are we going to get a little bit more Luke? I'm pretty sure we might. But I think once Ezra gets into the picture, because my sources tell me that, we all knew this already, though. This is no big secret. They were combining all these stories because this is a book. It starts with The Mandalorian, but all these other stories are linked into this one big book that tells the story after Return of the Jedi. And I kind of hope that they leave it at a place that, they move maybe either backwards to, say, the Revan era or something like that. not the High Republic. Please keep that trash out of here. Or go beyond um go beyond the sequel trilogy. But there's also some hints about they're changing Galaxy's Edge, might be changing Galaxy's Edge to some of the other, more Mandalorian show type rides. And if that happens, because Dave Filoni said he wants to do 5 years of The Mandalorian, he's already written season 4. So, I mean, he's already written season 4. They haven't done it, what? That's a good 2 more years, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
On the situation, because we had a whole year and something without the Mandalorian, and then they gave us this little slice of the Mandalorian inside the Book of Boba Fett due to the because I don't want anybody thinking this was a cohesive story. Certain things were going wrong on that set of Boba Fett, and they were like, look, we need you guys to come back in here and straighten this out. And that's why we get this little slice of the Mandalorian. The child was not supposed to come back. They wanted, this to be a Din type season, and maybe at the end of the season you get the child back. But the powers that be said, that's our bread and butter, man. You can't stop, Grogu. We need to we need to spread that butter all over that bread, which is a shame, because now you can't tell a story the way you want to tell a story if one of your characters is a moneymaker and then they're afraid the show won't do well without him. I think an absence without Grogu would do the storyline good, because then you would be hungry for it. We were a whole year without the Mandalorian. And don't get me wrong, I went back and watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, and originally I had said that I had liked that better than the Book of Boba Fett. But then when I went back and looked at it, it was that one scene, those 2 scenes with Vader in it, that made that series pretty good. Although Boba Fett had a few slow episodes, it still told a better story, in my opinion, than Obi-Wan did. We had numerous characters. We got to see how badass Fennec Shan was. We got to see him riding a Rancor. That's got to be the coolest thing ever. We saw a man's journey from, I'm alone in this galaxy doing what I got to do, to I'm a part of a tribe. My tribe is gone now. And now, I'm going to take some revenge. He gets back his ship, which is still called the Slave One. He just calls it the Foxfire because everybody wants us to be proper. But it's still the Slave One.
That's good.
And at the end of it, I mean, we get Cobb Vanth back. We got to see what's his name?
Live action Cad Bane.
Cad Bane. Okay, all we got is 2 fight scenes with Vader and Obi-Wan, and don't get me wrong, they were some badass scenes. Dragging Obi-Wan through that fire was like, ooh, okay, cool. I get why he did it. The end fight was kind of cool because, he knew he lost his brother and his friend, and he walked away. But that's it. Spare me the whole little Princess Leia stuff. Okay, that's great. But you downplayed Luke like some silly little kid, and I found that a little offensive. You know what I mean? Again, here it is. We're always making, our heroes secondary to the rise of female characters when you didn't have to do that. Just my opinion. All right, guys.
I really, really, really enjoyed the Boba Fett story because it had cohesive, like you said, had really good storyline, and I also really enjoyed the Thanks for reminding me that that lovely lady who's the bounty hunter in Bad Batch was also in Boba Fett. That was a nice. I said, yeah, I thought she looked familiar.
Winnie Chan. I'm telling you, I got it. The way she was talking, the way she was moving, she was a badass. But when they got attacked and he got up off the ground, he like Finnick, alive. He had to remind her not to kill those guys that were after him to kill him. He had to remind her. Then at the end of it, she went in and took out that whole little gang inside that little whatever that little hut thing they were hiding in. Okay, that is a woman you do not want to mess with. She has stapled herself as a badass character. I totally believe that. Bo-Katan. Oh my God. The way she went in there, guns ablazing. I guess I'm a little, that's a fanboy moment for me. Girls with guns blazing away, it does something for me. I don't know what it does. It's just one of those things that I'm like, oh. But the way she whipped and then took the sword, slice, slide under, jump back up, I was just like, she's quickly becoming a huge part of my Mandalorian universe.
Definitely.
Just because of her, again, another badass female character. Now, for those of us who know Bo-Katan from Clone Wars, Rebels, we already knew that she was badass. But seeing her in live action, still voiced by the same character, there's your proof. This is not like the sequel trilogy where we get Rey, where you have to either read the book or hear the audio book where she somehow downloads the Force information on how to do things from Kylo Ren when he was in her mind. If I'm watching a movie and you tell me I have to read a comic book or hear the audio adaptation or buy a comic book to explain your movie, you failed at your job as a filmmaker. You simply failed. I've got to go out and get source material outside of what you're showing me to explain the actions of your character. You failed. You failed. They did it in Star Trek and they did it in Star Wars now. So again, it just goes to show you that the writers don't really care. I saw an article today. They were saying that the writers are underpaid. Well, I got news for you. No, they're not, because they're not writing anything worth watching. They're just not. And I have to say this to go on the record as a Star Wars fan. I was embarrassed of this week's episode versus Picard.
Yeah.
Because Picard came hard. Picard brought a character that you haven't seen and you were wondering where she was. And when Ro came back out, I was like, Ro? Now, I had heard that she had went to DS9 after her stint in jail because, they threw her in jail. She explained that she got picked up for Starfleet intelligence, which was awesome. And at the end of the episode, I was just like, oh, my God. You know what I mean? But they're slowly building getting the band back together, and I love it. It was such an the last. Were we on episode 4, Picard?
Well, I'll catch up eventually.
Yeah.
5. We just finished 5.
Now. If I had to go against The Mandalorian with Picard right now, the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian were great. I would stack them up with Picard easily. And then you hit this stumbling block. You hit this stumbling block hard because you told a story that was not necessary to tell at this juncture. Nobody cares.
Made no sense.
Nobody cares.
None.
Nobody cared.
They got so much of the lore wrong too. That really pissed me off when they said the Kaminoans were the first ones to have the cloning. I was like, what? No, the Star Wars universe has been around for tens of thousands of years. You're telling me they didn't have cloning technology, or that his mother couldn't have gotten an artificial heart, a mechanical one, and not just a clone one? That didn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah. And
And-
again, poor writing. You know what I mean?
The New
And
Republic
I
does
can-
not. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The New Republic does not brainwash. They do not do that. What are they
yeah,
thinking?
They do.
Well, I mean, it was too. And remember, it's a trap. And you show me this
Yes.
you know what I mean? You already ruined that in the sequel
Yep.
trilogy with that whole thing with Admiral Akbar. And then at the end of that filming his scene, they make the actor say it's a wrap. The actor said he cried after doing that because they diminished his character to a joke.
Yep.
So, you know, again, I don't know if Jon Favreau wrote that episode because normally he's pretty good.
It was him and another one, a guy named Noah Clore.
Okay.
That was the one episode where he didn't have full control, or it's usually Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, but this time it was Jon Favreau and this new guy, and I think this new guy, I know this is just an assumption, is the one that wrote,
that part. Yeah, it had to be. It had to be. It had to be.
It
had
made
to
no
be because,
sense.
John and Dave know the universe.
Yes.
They actually, when they're sitting down at lunch and stuff talking, they go over this stuff. So, but it was crappy. I was really upset. And I got to be honest with you, this is the only episode that I've only watched once and had no desire to go back to rewatch.
Oh, I'm not going to.
I have no desire. I mean, I love the beginning, and I love the end.
Oh, I love the beginning.
But the middle part, if I do it, I'll and I'll get to my end, and the episode will be over because it's only 20 minutes, like 10, and then you got all this crap in the middle that nobody wanted or needed.
Yeah.
So much for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and then to hear the Acolyte is going to get 8 episodes an hour a piece. Are you kidding me? You didn't give Boba Fett an hour. You didn't give Mando an hour until you gave me this crap in the middle. And now this new show is going to come out 8 episodes an hour a piece. But I got to be honest with you. If I don't see another Obi-Wan film, I'll be fine. I will be pissed if I don't get Boba Fett back because he needs to have justice and he don't need nobody cutting into his show.
Agreed.
He just don't. Okay. I know how it feels now. At first I was like, well, I got my dude in there and I really don't care. Oh, I care now. I care now a bunch because that was unnecessary.
At Calibus?
Yeah.
So if we have another Boba Fett, can we bring the female bounty hunter back?
Oh, that's his right hand man. Too? Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
that's his right hand man.
Yeah, because I liked her.
Right hand man. She is, yeah. That's another reason why I want to go back to Batu because they're walking around.
Yeah, I heard.
So I would love to get a picture with both of them. You know what I mean? If you could ever catch them together, I would love to get a picture with both of them walking around Batu. It would just be one of those things. But anyway, he needs his own show with her, obviously, because she already said she was along for the ride. And that also hits your demographic of you got to have a strong female lead with you have it. Those two are perfect together. I hate to say this. Den and Bo-Katan, I was feeling some kind of way. I don't know now, Miss Liz.
I don't think so.
Some kind of way.
I don't think so, because when they did the interview with Katie Sackhoff, she didn't say anything that there would be anything
She's not
going on
allowed.
between
Well, yeah.
them.
Well, Miss Liz, she can't really say anything because of the story isn't completed. Remember, she's in the middle of series. Matter of fact, she canceled her Richmond
For
commitment
some political, for
for the book of for the Mandalorian and Disney things. She was at
yeah,
Disney
yeah.
a couple of days ago building a lightsaber and making a commercial. I put it up on the pages. I try to keep up with that so you guys can see
I
what's
didn't
going on.
see. I didn't see that one. I did see the interview,
Yeah.
and I also saw that Bruce Boxleitner just rode the Tron wide too, and went
I saw
running
that.
around in Star Wars and whatnot. And of course, he got VIP treatment, so you know.
Well, look, I've got to do the Tron ride for Gore because Gore was a huge Tron fan. As a matter of fact, what I want to do is I want to get me one of those discs, those data discs that they
Yeah.
have. Because when he saw it, and it was at Toy Meister, when he saw it, I was like, buy it. You'll never see it again if you don't buy it. He's like, man, I don't know. I'm like, buy it. So what I'll probably do is I'll get it and I'll put his name on it and stick it right up here so you guys could always see it when when I record.
Yeah.
But I want to ride the Tron ride, but again, my whole thing is to get back to Batu, especially to see them walking around and everything else, because I saw Vi when I was there. Some stormtroopers talked to me, and I saw Kylo Ren, and that was it. I didn't get to see Rey. Oh, and I saw Chewie and R2. That was it. But I would
saw
love to see
Ray.
them. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're all in agreement that this episode was a little hit and miss. More on the miss than hit.
Yeah.
Definitely not something that we can write home about. Picard, on the other hand, I know this is a Star Wars show. Go for anybody who is a Star Trek fan, go see Picard. Season 3.
You know I am, but I haven't seen Picard yet, so.
I know, Miss Liz. All right, guys, let's round this up with the Bad Batch.
Do we have to?
La 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 la.
I can take you out and bring you back in towards the end of the show if you like.
No, I'll forget it. Remember, I'm catching up anyway.
All right, so I don't know how I feel about this last episode. Again, I got Wanda Sykes in my ear, and like Simon, all I see is Wanda Sykes.
Yep.
I can't shake that image.
Thank you.
And make it worse, I've been watching History of the World Part 2, and there she is again, and I'm just like, I mean, maybe if she was a droid or something, just kind of lost me. It just kind of lost me. The whole episode, I love the fact that they're breaking away from Sid, but now they're kind of worried about it. I don't know what that's about. You knew you were going to do it. You did it. Why would you keep accepting her calls? Because you know she's going to be calling you, talking about when you're coming back, when you're coming back. But now they have a safe haven. I don't know about you guys. And they didn't tell them their situation. But you're a fugitive from the Empire and now a gangster. And you bring that to my home. Be totally different if you told me that up front and I got to, judge the situation for myself, but you don't even tell me. And now you want to stick around for a bit, jeopardizing my home world. Bad Batch kind of stepped in it in my opinion.
Yeah, but look who they showed up with.
I got a question. Why didn't they get rid? I thought they were going to get away from that lizard lady or whatever,
Sid.
Whatever you want to call her.
Sid. Her name is Sid.
Sooner, because all she's doing is using them. I've
Well,
only
she's still
seen 10
around for a bit.
episodes, and it's clear as day that she is using them, and she'd turn around and sell them in a heartbeat if she thought she could get away with it.
Well, true. And that was kind of like one of the things, and they found out how much of help she can be, and you'll see that in the later episode. All right, so Dakar brings up a good point. So they're there with Wanda Sykes, and Wanda, I guess they trust Wanda. So if they're with Wanda, okay, I'll give you that one, Dakar. All right, I'll give you that one.
She's the liberator of treasures. Pirate. She's a pirate. They showed up with a pirate.
And they still let her in, right? Okay.
And they let them in. So obviously this is not, it is a safe haven, but they said this was for anybody escaping from the new empire and fleeing their home or whatever. So basically it's for anybody and everybody, is what, at least how I took it. Now, the entire episode was a filler episode. It was. The last few episodes of Bad Batch were nothing more than real filler episodes. But yeah, showing up with Wanda Sykes' character, the liberator of historical artifacts.
Every time I hear that, that just reminds me of a thief. I liberated them from captivity of his safe, so
Right.
so they could run free in my pocket.
I mean, it is funny.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And like you said, if Wanda Sykes was a different character, like a robot, I might be able to take it more serious, but I'd ask for a voice changer anyway.
Katala, your thoughts on the Bad Batch? And then Simon, I'm going to come to you.
Well, for now, they're stuck where they're at, so they have to make the best out of a bad situation, it seems like. And I guess there's worse things to do than liberate items for now.
I like how you said that. Worse things than liberating items. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm more like Jabba. You liberate one of my items, I'm sending the car after you to get my shit back.
You gotta find them first.
You know what I mean? I mean, I can see myself set up. I mean, if I wasn't so orientated towards the Mandalorian and the Force thing, I would definitely be a gangster. And I would go ahead and hire my best guy, which would be Dakar. Come find it, liberate my stuff back, dig a hole, and just before you dig that hole, hologram me so I can see them go in that hole.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't manual labor. I'm going to make them dig the hole.
You can make them dig a hole, or you can take your trusty droid. I guess that would be
True.
Simon. What?
Oh, no.
I'm just saying. I mean, some stuff is going to happen to her. There's going to be some type of repercussion, just like with Indiana Jones. When you liberate these things and they belong in a museum, there's always that one person that comes back and says, that was mine. You took it from me, and now you've got to pay the price for it. But, Sai, your thoughts on the Bad Batch?
I was disappointed in this Star Wars as well. It was really lackluster, and to be honest, it seems like this whole episode was just for a setup. Now, when you said, basically these guys are going to bring the Empire with them eventually because they are fugitives, there's going to come a situation where the Empire is going to come hunting them down. And because they were made heroes and they saved the chieftain or the leader's daughter, there's going to be a moral dilemma with the people of this island and the Bad Batch. And it's going to come to a head to where the Bad Batch is going to have to go into open warfare with the Empire. I think that's what this whole episode was setting up.
Well, I mean, but overall, though, even if the last couple episodes were filler, I still enjoy the Bad Batch. One, because we don't really have anything else animated wise, Star Wars that is good storytelling, that is keeping up with what's going on, which I love that part. We don't have many inconsistencies because Dave Filoni is handling it. It follows pretty much Star Wars lore to a T. Okay? We don't have these inconsistencies like we did, just like you said, just now with The Mandalorian, where there was a clone heart. And I'm sitting there thinking, you guys can make metal hands. You can't tell me, like Simon's, we have robotic hearts now. So you telling me y'all have one?
Yeah.
That don't make no sense to me.
People that don't have an understanding of the lore and basic common sense.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's basically what it is. Somebody who's writing it doesn't understand. Again, Alex Kurtzman doesn't understand when he's writing something, because you can't use a transporter from planet to planet and then explain it like shooting a bullet on another bullet traveling at. Give me a break. Give me a break. So anyway, guys, we love what we have. Sadly, this episode wasn't all that. I did see a promo poster for Bo-Katan and, of course, Din looking in the face of the Mythosaur.
Yes, I saw that one myself.
And I'm like,
now is that fan fiction? More than likely.
no, I don't think so. We've already seen it.
don't
They've
know.
already showed it to it. They've already showed us to it. I mean, eventually, because we had one person say that, I'm afraid that when we watched The Mandalorian, everything we saw in the trailer was going to be in the show, and that's not true. Not everything that we got was in that trailer. You know what I mean? Which was great.
I think Big L had said that on one of the roundtables, actually.
Yeah. He was disappointed with the show. And I was like, how could you be disappointed with it? Because he was like, you're looking at it nostalgically. And I'm like, no. If anything I'm looking at nostalgically, it's Picard. Because you needed to bring back the old characters to save a show that's in its last season. And then on top of that, you brought in the people who helped create the first show in. And we got Marky Mark here. Hey, Marky Mark. You had to bring your old cast and then your old crew people that actually worked on the set designs and everything back in to make this show better, because your last two seasons sucked. And the only thing Star Trek's got going for it right now is this last season of Picard and Strange New Worlds. And, they've already canceled Discovery. Yay. So I'm just hoping that we don't have any more of these. I'm pretty sure once they see all these numbers for the viewership, all the comments online, they'll be like, okay, I know it's in the can, but we're gonna have to do something if any more episodes are like that, because I don't think any of us will be watching if it keeps giving us 10 minutes in the beginning and 10 minutes at the end and then a bunch of crazy story in the middle. It just won't be feasible to watch. You know what I mean? Because everybody's going to cut through it. You know what I mean? And I get it. They wanted to show you, the day-to-day routine, just like they did in Andor. I bet you that guy is part of the Andor writing staff.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when the guy was in his cubicle and he was punching his little cubes, his cards in.
Mhm.
For those of you who watched it a lot more than Simon, I think Simon and I are the only ones who made it through, and and then
Made all but the last episode.
yeah, well, you're not missing much, yeah.
I know I didn't miss. But let's
But
get
that
back to
episode-
Mando for a minute.
That episode of him going in the cubicle seemed like this episode, where the doctor would get up and he would see the robot again, and then he would go through his day, and then he would see the robot again, and I get it, you didn't have to like kind of repeat it and push it in, you know what I mean? It just seemed a little redundant. Then again, we could be. Oh yeah. Yeah, Prodigy is still a good show. I enjoy Prodigy. Matter of fact, we had the Klingon consultant for Prodigy on the Proud Warriors of Kronos, thanks to Katala. Maybe the season is short. Story corrections veer off. Yeah, maybe. And then Marky Mark said, "Who wrote that?" I'm thinking it had to be that dude. Simon said that Jon Favreau and this new dude,
Noah something.
Noah something, wrote this episode, and Noah had to be in charge of the doctor's part.
Yeah.
He had to be, because there ain't no way in the world Filoni is going to, or Jon Favreau is going to give up his Mandalorian stuff to some writer. But I bet you he was on Andor, because that kind of
It reeked Andor from the beginning.
yeah.
And I only saw 3 episodes. Well, he told me
You
not
didn't
to
miss
watch
anything
anymore.
either.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything either, Ms. Liz. I mean, the pacing of it wasn't, for me, and I get it, because I do this in books too. If it gets boring, I'll skip a couple pages, but you know what I have to do? You always got to go back when you do that, because you've missed this chunk of the story, and now you want to find out why, so you have to go back and you have to read it anyway. I think the problem maybe is we're too part of, and I know we're older people and we don't do as much as the younger kids, but everything is like under a minute. Your TikTok, your Facebook, all these little reels, they're always under at least two minutes. And anything under that doesn't really take off, we zone out on, We don't have that dopamine pushing going, yeah, this is a great thing to watch, keep going. And then when we actually get a story, we're like, okay, you need to jump to it. But my thing is, I'm watching with Jinky, and she sees this guy, and she's like, oh, okay, that's cute, da, 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 da. And then the next episode, she's like, is this going to pick up? Because this is getting boring. I watch a lot of junk on TV. And when I say a lot of junk, I'm talking, okay, Sai just told us who the writer is, and I'm going to set it in the box.
Yeah.
So you guys can see it. I watch a lot of junk. I watch Rick and Morty, da 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 da. She's never complained. Never about the stupid stuff. Family Guy, Rick and Morty, American Dad. These are my go-tos, right? She complained during The Mandalorian. Never heard that before, but she complained during The Mandalorian.
There's 2 things this episode gave us, though. It showed us how ruthless the Empire still is at this point in time, as they bomb the hell out of Bo-Katan's castle.
Oh yeah, they certainly.
Well, you know what they said. You can't piss off the warlords and not expect them to retaliate.
Exactly.
And she had no fleet.
So that's number 1. Number 2, and what has now become one of my favorite memes is, yes, the dark side really did have cookies.
Biscuits.
It's a cookie.
It was horrible looking.
It doesn't matter.
It
They
looked
just
like
made
it
that
looked like
meme that
SeaTac.
has been said, that meme that has been around for years, come to the dark side, we have cookies. They just made that meme canon.
Okay,
It
look.
looked like SeaTac, which is absolutely like eating cardboard.
Okay, so the guy, strangely enough, didn't have anything to do with Andor. He wrote the first chapter of the. He was a writer on the first chapter of the book of Boba Fett, The Stranger in a Strange Land.
Really, because that was a great episode.
Well, when he's crawling out of the sand and getting attacked.
Yep.
I don't know if it was great.
I
It
was
was all
I was
right.
surprised.
But I'm a Fett fan.
You're a Fett fan.
I was really
And I get that.
surprised to see him get out of that creature and survive. Because I didn't think once you fell in, you'd never get out.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't remember that the Jawa stripped him of his armor and he went back to the pit for his armor, which I thought was kind of strange. But, you know, what's even stranger is finding Obi-Wan on a planet with a loss of everything, and I don't know. I have so many problems now with Obi-Wan. But again, so Noah actually did Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Well, we could have lived without the doctor stuff.
I think so. I think we also could have lived without the Power Ranger stuff in the Book of Boba Fett.
Amen.
You know, I mean, I don't know, again, what Miss Kennedy was thinking, that they wanted to brighten stuff up and, you know, these mods. And then, of course, there's the meme that's the spin where the guy goes to shoot, but he has to spin all the way around and kneel to take aim. Woo! But then again, the Mandalorian gave us a Power Ranger villain. Arr! I look at him and I'm like, what am I watching? Power Rangers now? What is this? Are you serious? And I think he's going to be the setup villain for the Skeleton Crew.
Salad the Hut.
Which, yeah,
Caesar
no,
salad.
his armor did save him from the pit. The armor did save him from the pit, but he got out of the pit and the Jawa stripped him down and left him there naked. I think you would kind of remember, because he was kind of waking up a little bit as they were taking all that stuff off of him. Why did he think that he killed the Sarlacc? Why did he? Well, he didn't really kill it, did he?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually. But I'm saying when he got out of the pit originally and everything else. But I just, I found it kind of hokey that he had to go all the way back there. And then does a seismic charge. You know what I mean? But again, that shows you how badass Fennec was. Remember? So I get that. But Skeleton Crew is supposed to get this pirate dude that I don't think any of us cares about. I think the Skeleton Crew is more geared for kids, more of a live action thing for kids. I don't know if Jude Law can save it. Good luck with that. I mean, we're all going to watch because we're Star Wars fans, but at the end of the day, if it turns out to be another Andor, what we'll do is we'll have Simon go ahead and just throw a report out for us.
We'll do.
Because you're the historian, sir. That's your job. Oh man. I did like Bo-Katan, Cara Dune, Fennec, and the other little night owl, the wrestler chick. I did like them taking the ship. I thought that was cool. Especially when they're on the bridge and the Mandalorians fly off, then come back up and take them down. I thought that was excellent. But I would love to see Fennec and Bo team up on something. Of course, we're all waiting for Thrawn. He's going to be the big bad heavy because Ahsoka's already introduced him. They've already cast the Ezra Bridger character. Yeah, it's going to be an all-out assault on Thrawn. It'd be interesting to see if he does have any type of I don't know, Sith guards or maybe even a Sith with him. You know what I mean? I would love to see that because now you have Ahsoka and you have Ezra. So you got two strong Jedis, and I don't see Thrawn, although he's a good tactician, I don't see him doing hand-to-hand combat with these two people without some type of Beskar weapon or maybe even the Darksaber. I just don't see it. But that's just me. All right, guys, we're at the top of the hour. Does anybody want to say anything else before we go?
Yeah, I'm gonna nitpick a little bit more on this last Mandalorian episode. It has driven me absolutely insane with the lack of understanding of lore. So I did like the fact that when the doctor was done speaking and he was talking to all the people that were surrounding him, they reminded me of the sycophants that were in the Empire. They're basically people that reside on Coruscant that have no idea what's going outside on the outer rim, mid rim, anywhere else. And then later on, the doctor finds out that they're destroying good equipment that could be going out to the outer rim, where he talks about where they didn't have enough stuff. And these people don't care. It's like, oh, well, it reminds us of the Empire, so we're just going to get rid of it rather than use it. And in all the lore, up until the Star Wars game, Squadrons, the New Republic did use all of the New Republic ships. They had to. There were still Imperial warlords that controlled vast swaths of galaxy and space. They needed the numbers. And then they talked about having to dismantle the Alliance fleet and the Imperial ships. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That got me upset. And with the whole the Imperial agent.
Well,
yeah,
wait a minute now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they've taken I mean, obviously, shipyards near anything towards the inner core, they would take those ships and they would demolish them. They'd scrap them down. For them, there's no need for a fleet anymore, which is their first mistake.
Well, yeah, in the show, but in the EU, they had to use every ship they can get.
Bro, there is no EU.
I
EU.
know,
You know
I
that.
know.
You know.
But it makes sense. It makes sense. Even now, it would make sense. But you're right.
Yeah. Look, I feel you.
It just
because
it
I was
cracks
one
my
of those
brain.
ones when Lucas came out and said that there's nothing canon but his movies and what Disney puts out. I turned to my bookshelf and went, you got to be kidding me, because I've got over 20 years of Star Wars stuff sitting here on my shelf, and now you're telling me none of this counts?
Yeah,
that was insane to me. But go ahead, make your point.
With that Imperial agent, she was in the last scene of when she was on board Moff Gideon's ship, and she has new orders. She was specifically sent there to destroy his mind in order to erase everything that he knew, so that they wouldn't figure out what they were doing. I think Gideon was trying to create some kind of super soldier, that had the ability to use the Force, that would be able to take on the New Republic. So that's what I think she did. And also, it has a secondary effect. If his brain gets wiped and he turns into a vegetable, then all the Imperial officers that are in the amnesty area are going to say, if we don't comply, they're going to kill us, or they're going to do this to us. There might be a rebellion, and that'll stop any other Imperial officers from defecting. So that's like a double-edged sword, right? Just like two-pronged attack. So I do like that little bit part of it.
Well, I tell you, I love giving you this last little bit because you always leave us with something to think about. And, I hadn't thought about, the officers making a rebellion. Katala asked me today, why aren't they using their names? And I'm like, well, the Empire used TK numbers. Now they are actually like the stormtroopers and clones for the rebellion or the New Republic. They gave them numbers as letters and numbers for their specific duties. I'm L4577. This is M767. And I was sitting there going, that's very Empire of you. And then half of the Republic was like the one guy, I was drafted. Could you imagine me doing this?
Yeah.
It's like the rich, the elite that didn't want to serve.
Yep.
But give me just a second here.
You still there, Simon?
Yep, I'm still here.
I will be in Florida soon.
Oh, awesome.
So we got Marky Mark saying in the Star Wars Legend stories, they use a lot of Empire stuff. Yeah, they did. All right, gentlemen and ladies, thank you for joining us here at the Covert. As we have another, I will see you guys in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Unless something gets really out of hand, so we'll crush down the last couple of episodes of the Bad Batch, and then of course Mando stays open until April. So I will talk to you guys then. The car, anything to take us out on?
No, we're good.
All right then. I'll say what I always say: follow the creed, trust in the Force.